We're back in the studio. Jay.
Back again and joined by our esteemed colleague. For once, it's not just me and you.
I know.
Waffling shit. We've got someone else to join us.
Sam, welcome back to the studio.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Good to be back after 3 points as well.
I know it has. Yeah,
What was the last podcast you were on? Boxing Day.
I can't remember. It was
Boxing Day.
Was it really?
Well,
That
Was
that
it
long
the
ago?
Sheffield Wednesday one where Steve Bruce got them 2 late headers?
It
it that
may
one?
well have been, yeah. I can't believe it's that long.
Yeah, Boxing Day was your last rant.
To be fair, that was
And it was actually saying you were right about Falcao being shit.
well, he's been proven wrong since then.
Well, all right, I've turned over a new leaf, for one thing. I'm Mr. Positive this year.
Wow.
That scares me.
It's good.
But I'm disappointed that Falcao didn't work out. But I guess, as I said at the time, I just never saw any evidence that the previous talent was there. And I'm not really sure what Chelsea saw. And going from the last 10 minutes of their game when they chucked him on, neither are any of their fans yet. So unfortunate. But there we are. On to bigger and better things, like our massive 3 points against Spurs.
OGJ.
Yes, thank God. Because if we left it up to Rooney, still be waiting to finish that now.
He was going almost in slow motion when the ball was come across that.
Yeah, we all know with Wayne Rooney, it takes him just 1 or 2 months to get back into the swing of the season.
Yeah, it's that Tomo
pre-season
thing, isn't it? It's the Tomo every year says November is Rooney's month.
Yeah, so that I think that was that our only shot on target.
We had one shot. We had 9
how
shots.
How can an own goal
one
be a
on
shot?
target.
No, sorry, yeah. Did we have no shots on target? That's what I was trying to say.
We had 1 shot on target.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
9 shots in total. 50-50 possession. 9 shots each. 1 shot on target.
I think I've sort of erased the memory of the game out of my head. It was that boring. But it was 3 points. It's a win. It's a good start against a good team as well. A team that will take points off other top teams you'd expect. So can't grumble too much. And obviously we've now, David De Gea who? We've got
Exactly. We might as well start from the back and work our way forward against Tottenham.
Sounds good.
Sergio Romero starting in net. When you see that team sheet at 11:45 that came out, what thoughts went through your mind, guys?
I guess the first thing was I was a little bit gutted for Sam Johnson, to be honest, because he played a lot of minutes in the pre-season tour. I understand the whole De Gea situation. I've no idea where his head's at. Most people don't. I trust Van Gaal to make that decision. But if he wasn't going to play De Gea, I really would have liked to see what Johnson could do. That's not to say that Romero didn't have a good game. I thought he was fairly decent, other than that save where he just palmed it straight back out across the penalty spot.
It was almost straight at him as well, that shot, wasn't it? Which
it was. Yeah, it was. People sometimes get a bit rose tinted, don't they, with debuts? It's the old Alexander Butner effect of they have a decent debut and everyone's sort of waxing lyrical like it's the most amazing performance ever. It was, like you said, Sam, it was a decent performance. I don't think he saved anything that I wouldn't have expected him to save, if I'm honest.
He got down for that one, wasn't it?
He did well.
Ericsson, he got down quick.
Yeah.
He did. I'm not sort of saying he didn't play well. He did play well, but it wasn't amazing. And like you say, he did parry it back into danger, and some of his kicking was a bit erratic, but.
Well, I think from the first goal kick he had, and you had both Shaw,
Damian
and Damian. Yeah, right. I'm there. I'm with it. Don't worry. Right back, accepting a short pass, and you think, okay, this guy's kicking is not his speciality, then, is it? And from then on, it was clear distribution was an issue. There was this amazing goal kick late on in the second half where he was literally having a conversation with Juan Mata out on the right, like I'm kicking it to you, and Mata's like, yeah, kick it to me, and then he goes to kick it and it basically went out of touch on the left touchline. He's obviously
we fooled them.
Yeah, it's not like he did the whole clever I'm going to pass and not look thing. He just literally kicked it out the other side of the field without meaning to.
But we found out the day before that it was Romero and Johnson at the hotel, so De Gea wasn't there, and obviously the words that Van Gaal said, that he's dropped his head's not in the game, doesn't know where his head is. Was he right to drop De Gea, especially with all the Real Madrid talk over his head? Jay?
I think he's right, because of the result. I think we got the win.
But
clean sheet.
What if Romero had an
okay.
absolute stinker and we lost 5-0?
Then he would have been wrong.
That's how hindsight works.
Basically, if Romero had done what you just said, it would have been a disastrous decision. But he didn't. He kept a clean sheet and saved quite a few shots, so it was a good one.
So we're going to come on to Aston Villa, but does Romero keep his place? Do we take Dave down? What do we do?
I don't know, because the thing is, you don't know what is going on with De Gea behind closed doors. You don't know where his head's at even. You don't know what is going on in terms of his transfer. Is it dead in the water? Is it still happening? So all these questions, I'm hoping that Van Gaal knows the answer to them, so he's the only one who can really decide whether he'll go in. If he's up for playing for the game, if he's up to the game, he wants to play, and he's ready, then yeah, put him in. He's one of the best keepers in the world. But if his head's not there, then I'd stick with Romero.
The thing is, though, I was sat at work today, like refreshing BBC Sport during my lunch hour, and in the space of like the same 10 minutes, about 4 different media outlets came out with a story that De Gea's not going anywhere this season.
Yeah, the BBC ran with it first, didn't they?
Yeah,
and it seems like
that
Woodward's been on
like,
the email again.
Exactly. That is being briefed from the club to say, look, nothing's changed here. If you're not going to give us Ramos, then we're not going to give you De Gea, and we'll let him go at the end of the season for free if that's what it takes. And Real Madrid presumably putting in this last-ditch 21.2 million bid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing is, we were saying this last week, weren't we? That if we can have De Gea for this season, he's worth. I know it sounds a lot of money for one player for a season, but he's worth 20-odd million quid to us, because I think players like Carrick, we said this last week, so we won't go on too much. Carrick, Schweinsteiger, this could be their best season or their last great season. I know it's Schweinsteiger's first, but he's not. You wouldn't think he's going to get much better as the seasons roll on. So would it be worth just keeping De Gea and really having a good stab at it this season?
It's a lot of money though, not to take if we've got a backup keeper to come in.
Do you know what? You always get. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it always becomes irrelevant money sometimes with United, because when you spunk like 7 million on Bebe and things like that, and God knows how much we spent on Falcao's wages.
We mentioned that we're awful at selling players for value.
You give away sort of players like Raphael for 2 million, and even Nani, we dwelt on this last week, for a few million. Then you think 20 million, it's not what it used to be.
But there's 2 points that I make to it. And I'm like, one, we're paying De Gea relatively low wages now because he didn't sign the contract, so
he's still on the 45 grand a week,
exactly.
Which saying less, low wages.
I know, like
but,
kill for it.
Yeah.
But a world class keeper like him could be on even 100 grand more a week. So you save 5.2 million there in wages.
I'm gonna wait a minute. Yeah, your maths are right, Sam. I'm just working it out with my pen and paper.
The other thing is, if we're really worried about missing out on this 20 million, just go and get a new noodle sponsor from wherever the hell and make it up that way. We just got this £5 billion TV deal.
Yeah, and like today, another multi-million-pound deal with Marathon Bet, which nobody in their right mind is probably going to go and bet outside the big betting companies and go, who I'm going to bet with this weekend? Marathon Bet.
Yeah, well, I think you should do. I only drive Chevrolets, and I only bet with Marathon Bet because I'm a top red, unlike you.
If you want to bet in the ground now, you've got to do it on their little...
We can't even bet in the ground where we sit.
I didn't even see.
Oh, do you not? Yeah, it was there on Saturday. They've rebranded all the betting things. They're all Marathon Bet inside now.
Because it was Betfair last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The week where I am, you can't even bet.
Can you not in J-Stand?
No, it's ridiculous.
We're too busy throwing beers all over each other, aren't you?
They don't trust the J-Standers to be let loose with the money in front of a betting kiosk. So, yeah, it's probably for the best.
Right, so on from Romero. Let's start with the back four. Clean sheet, lads. Let's start with man on the match performance.
Ooh.
Matteo Darmian.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because
no.
BT
I'm going to disagree
morning,
with you. Yeah, I agree with BT.
But ManUnited.com Twitter followers got Darmian man of the match.
Well, I think they were both really good.
Yeah.
And I think Shaw was really good as well. If we do the defence as a unit, I think the three of them that's 3 of the most solid defensive performances I've seen out of United team since.
I thought you were going to say this season
before. Since the season before Ferguson packed it in, probably.
Right.
That
claim.
They performed cohesively as a unit, and especially as Schneiderlin had this little roaming role filling in when Blin went forward as well, and it just looked a bit more assured and a bit more like somebody actually sat them down and said, "This is what we're going to do this year, lads, to try and keep goals out."
Yeah, but I mean, after the match, Sam, coming out of Old Trafford, you said Blint was out of position a few times, but then you've watched the game back, haven't you?
I think I said at the time, if I was ranking all 11 players and I had,
Sorry, Jay's just stood up in the studio for some reason.
Sorry, didn't mean to distract you there.
What were you doing then?
I'm getting
you like some
caught
ballet move.
Go on, Sam, carry on.
I thought Blind was the player that was least good. He wasn't bad, but he was least good in terms of. You saw Kane sat on him all game. Obviously, he's
who
playing.
Was man marking who?
I know.
It was like Kane was man marking Blint.
But then you've got, Blind is probably the only person in that team that was playing out of his first choice position.
What is his first choice position though? Because he's moved from pillar to post that much.
He has, yeah.
He's been, it's been claimed that he is actually
central midfield.
left centre back. But I get what you mean about. I can understand why you're saying less good rather than bad.
Yeah,
because it's a bit harsh to say he was bad.
Yeah,
but he did make. There was one or two there was one point where he was the last man, and he's bringing it out, and then he got caught out, and you think that could have been a.
You look at the options going forward: Phil Jones or Blint.
Blint
or Rojo.
But not obviously
same as that, yeah.
Not going forward. Not
Rojo and Smalling centre backs.
I think a fit Phil Jones, I'd play in centre back ahead of Blind.
Blind, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about row your boat?
I don't know. There is a really, really good defender in Phil Jones somewhere if he can just stay fit enough and put together a run of games. I don't want to give up on him yet.
Yeah.
So,
go on, Jay.
Disappointment. We've been through this for 4 seasons, haven't we, with Phil Jones? We were saying this when he was out, saying this when he was at Blackburn.
I know.
And he's just gone backwards, and it's farcical now, some of his decision making. He's like a figure
he's got
of
a blood clot at the moment, hasn't he? That's why he hasn't been selected. He's got a blood clot in his thigh, which the United doctors found out after he went.
To me, he's another Johnny Evans. He's just gradually getting worse.
Yeah.
And I know where you're coming from, Sam, because for me, there were signs that he was a good defender, and there were performances that you could get behind. But his second touch is a tackle because he loses on his first touch, which usually injures himself as well. He just does bizarre things like heading the ball straight downwards from about 4 foot off the ground, or whatever it was. And you get to the point where you think, no, we can't carry on sort of having faith in you because I'm not seeing any evidence that makes me think you're gonna come good. I'd love it if he proved me wrong, but I just don't see it. And I think now for me, this is a season too far. I think last season was the one where he had to step up. We forgave everyone during the David Moyes era. We sort of gave them all a clean slate and said, listen, it was a disaster. We had someone who was well out of the depth managing us. Everything went wrong. Let's all start again. But even last season, I just thought he looked worse than he did under Moyes. I just thought he hasn't got it for me. If he does get another chance and he proves me wrong, I'll be more than happy to sort of eat my words. But I personally just give up with him. So
Smalling cements his role as centre back for Manchester United. You're saying Phil Jones nowhere near. Would you have Paddy McNair over Phil Jones?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
I would. I think Paddy McNair has put in last season more consistent performances than Phil Jones did. I thought Paddy McNair, obviously, he's raw, he's young, but he carries the ball out of defence well. He looks confident rather than, a bit sort of dithering and, oh my God, what am I going to do next? He seems to sort of have a real confidence above his years. And also, he's quick. And I think there is, like you were saying about Jones, I think with McNair, there is a really good defender there. And we're seeing a lot more signs of it than we are perhaps with Jones. Plus, McNair's only a kid, where Jones, he's still young. And we forget that he has been around for a few years, but he started off, I think he was 18 when he first started playing for Blackburn. But he's not a kid anymore, is he? He's been around now for a little while, and that personally, I just think it's time to cut our losses.
Sam, with those options that we've got at the back at centre backs, people are crying out for us to buy a centre back. Do we need to with those options there?
Well, if you said to me, United are going to bring in a world-class centre-back, I'd be very happy with that, because I think any of those options we've just discussed would benefit from a couple of seasons learning next to a world-class centre-half. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's not our money, so
Why not?
Or it's like a really tiny fraction of our money. Like when I worked out our season ticket once, it's like, I don't know, 38 seconds of Rooney's wages or whatever. It's just like an insignificant amount.
You must be quite bored at your work.
I just sit there all day refreshing BBC Sport, working out fractions.
Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man, he just works it out instantaneous. That might take me and you like half a day and 3 calculators. With him, he's just straight away.
Yeah, but I can't remember our new right back's name, so it's swings around about.
You are like Dustin Hoffman.
So yeah, I would love a new world class marquee centre back that I would hope would bring the others on, and I kind of see that being what Schweinsteiger's secondary role is as well. You know, he's there to mould Schneiderlin into the next great defensive centre midfielder.
It's weird because I always think, if you look at, people probably hate me for saying this and boil some piss, but look at when Dean McKellis went to City. Everyone was like, why have they bought him? But he was quite a useful player for him. He's experienced. He wasn't always first choice, but when he came in, he did a job. And I think if we could get an experienced defender, maybe like you're saying, in case of Schweinsteiger in midfield, he's probably only got a couple of seasons in him, but you'll get a couple of great seasons. And I know we're going to move on to Schweinsteiger later on, but you can see just from his little cameo the other day, he organises people. People can sort of learn from him. If we had a defender like that who could come in, who's maybe past 30 and only got a couple of seasons in, everyone could benefit from that. Because at times, I think one of the problems Jones has had as well is if you put, say, Jones and Rojo at the back together alongside Shaw, and maybe last season Rafael or Valencia in there's not many leaders there. There's not anyone who's going to sort of take charge, and it almost becomes a bit like the blind leading.
It's like
the blind leading the blind.
It's like when you're in school, right? If you had like a school project, they didn't put the naughty kids together. They put like a clever kid and a naughty kid together, and the other naughty kid went with another clever kid, and it made both pairings better. It's that kind of. They just need somebody to sort them out a bit.
But that clever kid was always a bit of a twat, wasn't he?
It depends whether you were the clever kid or the naughty kid he was put with, doesn't it?
Right, so Chris Smalling. Let's come on to Chris Smalling. Smalling had a great game.
He was playing the clever kid role. He was sorting people out. He was getting angering people out of position. Yeah. He made some fantastic sort of interceptions. He made a last-ditch tackle to block some shots. He was wonderful.
The thing is, my seat, if you don't know, is quite close to the pitch, and you can hear the talking and stuff. And when it's Evans and Smalling, it's normally Evans who tries to take the lead in a back four to tell people what to do or get people back to cover. But Smalling was so vocal, almost he felt that he had to be the leader in that defence, because Blint hardly speaks in real life, let alone on the pitch. Then you've got Shaw, who's not vocal, and Darmian, who played really well for 80 minutes until Valencia came on.
We'll get back to that later.
Yeah, we bloody will.
Believe me.
So Smalling had a fantastic game.
Mike Smalling.
Yeah, yes. Classic Mike.
Well, the thing is, with Mike, he was captain, wasn't he, last season against Arsenal, I think. Yeah. And you can see that he has grown into that role of organising, of pointing and shouting. And unlike Evans, who I think just seems to rant a lot and shout, and especially when he's made mistakes himself, Smalling, there seems to be a purpose there. He's directing people, where to pass it. You can see him sort of having little words here and there. And I definitely think he's grown as a defender, and he's grown as a sort of leader-type figure. And we're crying out for that now at the back, as we've already mentioned, because we haven't got, our most experienced sort of centre-back is, as you mentioned, Johnny Evans, who, I know he's got a lot of... there's a lot of Johnny Evans fanboys out there, but for me, I think he's gone as a United player.
Well, this is a season that the fanboys will have to be out for Johnny Evans, won't it? Because I can't see him getting much game time.
Well, if he's even with us, because the
Everton going to buy him for 10 million. Martinez
the next level of clubs down are circling for Evans.
Yeah, like Macclesfield Town and.
So he could.
They've already come out on Twitter and said they're not going to have him.
Yeah. So we could see him teaming up with Tom Cleverley. Someone's got a lot to answer for at Everton if that's the case.
It's like the graveyard for United rejects.
Well, you say that, but like Phil Neville had a good career there.
Yeah,
Darren Ferguson.
Darren Gibson.
What is that with me today?
Darren Ferguson.
You got wrong.
The G-bomb.
Let's come on to the one that you did forget about earlier. Matteo Darmian. man of the match,
Darmian was
80 minutes,
brilliant.
and then
he
came off.
He did so many simple things very well.
He came off, I think, with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, he did.
And that was the longest 11 minutes.
Don't start talking about his replacement yet. So focus on the good things.
Right.
What did you like about Darmian?
It was, again, I wouldn't say he was man of the match. I think he had a good game.
All right.
It was sort of game that, I think if you're a defender, we don't notice you doing something right. And he almost didn't notice him at times. He just got on with it and he didn't make any mistakes. Looked comfortable, looked like he'd been playing for United for years. So, yeah, it was a good, solid performance. And unlike sort of some players we've seen in the past, Butner, for example, where they've had this sort of exciting debut where you get that giddy about them, but you can see signs that they're...
Shit.
Yeah.
Defensively naive.
Yeah, defensively naive, as a commentator would say, or shit, as Mr. Noor would so eloquently put it. Yeah, with him, there was none of that. He looked solid. He looked like he could pick a pass. He looked like he had the pace about him. And he looked just settled in the Premier League. He didn't look like he was, you know, it wasn't a Patrice Evra debut. It was straight in, happy days.
Yeah, acknowledging the fans as well. He hardly did it when he went off the pitch. But he also did a foul throw. Somebody mentioned on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, watch how many... Tony Valencia has not done a legal throw in his United career.
Well, there's an epidemic of this throughout the Premier League. I watched
and it never gets
so many games over the weekend. Nobody
United did
cares
two
about
on Saturday. But Darmian did one and Ashley Young did one. I don't know. Why am I bothered about that? I have no idea. But I'm always like...
to get out more, man. He gives a shit. Seriously. Thought you were going to name the minutes they did him in then and who the throw went to. Bore off.
If you've got rules, Jay, if you're going to play...
He was the clever kid, wasn't he? With the naughty kid going, we're not allowed to do that, so he's going to tell us off. He's put us on this project to do it properly. What are you doing? Stop smoking.
You're not pulling your weight.
Yeah. I'm selling.
So the board went up in the 79th minute.
God, yeah.
Just quickly, before we get on to the horror show, the last one, Darmian and Mata worked very well as well. They seem to have a bit of an understanding with regards to overlapping and just the very basics of you know, a kind of right winger and a right back relationship.
The thing was with Mata, he's obviously, like you say, he's not a right winger, is he?
No.
But he's got that much talent. He could sort of still influence the game and get himself out of trouble when he had a lot of players around him. But it just seemed like a waste. And for me, I was just dying for Van Gaal to shift Mata into the middle and put Depay on the right, or put Young on the right and Depay on the left, whatever. But get Mata more centrally, because I just felt it was just a waste of him in there. And he was, you know, he'd skip past the player or he'd do a little bit of a skill to keep hold of the ball, but he just looked a bit lost where he was. He was too far away from what was happening. He hasn't got that sort of pace and energy to get right down the back. He's got the skill to influence the game, but he's not. And I just think that's something that needs adjusting, because we've all agreed on with him. Mata has to play. He's one of those players that you know, you have to start him, and even if he has one or two bad games, he's worth persevering with. But he's just it's a waste of his talent putting him out on the wing. He's not a winger, and you're right. He did do well, and he did sort of, because of his ability, was able to sort of do what he needed to do to a certain extent. But
he's not a winger.
He's not, and I'm much
he's been working a lot on his fitness, hasn't he? Been running up the Stretford end and doing a lot of work at Old Trafford, you know, to get fit for the season and continue that. But you mentioned him with Darmian. It was good, almost one-touch football at times. And where in positions where Darmian got, where if it was Raphael, he would have unleashed a shot from where Darmian was getting. But Darmian, you know, I'm on my debut. I'm not going to shoot. Craig Norwood's got £5 on me at 40-1 and didn't shoot.
I remember that, yeah.
40-1 in Ladbrokes. Oh, sorry. Marathon bet,
yeah. He bets with Ladbrokes for you, United fans. Saw your life out.
So
Tony V.
Can we?
Go on. We've had 26 minutes of chat already. You've got 4 minutes, Jay.
4 minutes. I want 11 minutes. I want to be as bad for him as he was for me. Saturday. Jesus wept. It was the longest 11 minutes in my life. And I know this might sound melodramatic, but I sit where the sort of right where he was playing, basically the right back for United in the second half. And I was watching him. And I just thought, I know this, you know, people hate when you bash United players, and I've defended, I think every player in the squad I've defended at one point or another, and I've stuck by Valencia for a few seasons, but I more or less gave up on him last season. And already this season, in 11 minutes, he's sort of proven my point. He was just dreadful, and he comes on, and people say, oh, Spurs rallied in the last 10 minutes. They rallied because he gave them chance to rally by throwing the balls to them when he took a throw-in, by playing people on side but being nowhere near the play, which is a skill that not many can muster.
And you notice that all Tottenham's attacks in that final 10 minutes was almost like they'd gone, bloody hell, target the right back. He's pretty shitty because they were finding space.
Yeah.
Was it Ericsson who got in? If it wasn't for Romero, would have scored. He left his man 3 or 4 times. Tried to play balls with Young, and it was just.
He just plays like he doesn't want to be there. He's played like that for years, but he's got away with it for the first few seasons because of his ability and his skill. But he literally looks like he's been forced, like community service something, to play for United. He looks pissed off, doesn't want to get involved. We've seen it when he's set up goals and he doesn't celebrate with teammates. It's just strange, and he's just lazy, and and it just amazes me how lazy he is. It's crazy.
But Louis van Gaal did say on the
Mrs.
tour.
Daisy once told me when she tried to phase me. Sorry, carry on.
I have no idea where you were going with that. Was that a nursery rhyme or something?
No, everything just seems to rhyme with me. Crazy, lazy, phase me.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Anything rhyme in that accent.
I really forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking about Tony Valencia.
In fairness to him, I'm not sure he would say that right back is where he wants to play or where he likes to play.
That's what I was going to say. Louis van Gaal did say when we bought Darmian that Darmian was coming in as cover for Tony Valencia.
I think,
but Louis van Gaal says things.
Likes a joke sometimes.
Yeah.
You remember the Arsenal game when he said Valencia was the best player on the pitch when he made them mistakes that let Welbeck score? I think he just says sort of silly things sometimes that he knows aren't really true, and I can't see how anyone. I know it's early days, but anyone would think that Darmian should be, playing second fiddle to Valencia.
Yeah.
You're right, he's not a natural right back, but in the last season under Fergie, when he was playing right wing, he was pretty dreadful then. I know we won the league, but it was more in spite of him rather than because of him. So I just think, I just think with Valencia, the thing that worries me is he is going to get games. You can't expect Darmian to play every game.
But we got Varela, who played very well for the 21s against Leicester. So
yeah, hopefully.
Is that
I'd
cover?
rather see that. Or McNair at right back. I know he's played there in the past because I just think that Valencia's he's another one who needs to get moved on, really.
Any mention on Luke Shaw? You said he had a good game.
I thought whoever the PR agency is that Luke Shaw hired over the summer, that briefed everyone and his mother 1,000 times that he'd taken a fitness coach on holiday with him and Adnan Januzaj. I literally couldn't open the internet without Luke Shaw telling me that he'd taken a fitness coach on holiday with him. It's paid
worked,
off.
Yeah.
He looks so much fitter. He's charging up and down. Yeah. His touch is better. There was one point where he went chasing after...
like the 88th minute.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just his fitness seems night and day from last year. And what he's able to offer the team is night and day because of that. Because he's honestly, he's getting up and down.
Yeah.
He's really providing a lot of
cover
to his left winger
season,
and trickiness to someone having to defend the fact that you've got, our kind of mid three marauding up and down, both sides of the wings, and then Shaw's getting there to help him out. So, I thought he was really good. It's probably the best performance that I've seen live of Shaw.
Yeah,
for us.
No.
I thought he did well. I thought he could have got forward a little bit more in the first half. Might be being a bit harsh.
Whoa, you're going to hear from his PR people now.
Sorry. Yes, but it was a good performance. But we've always thought with Shaw that last season he had enough good games, didn't he? I think was it.
He had enough injuries as well.
He did have enough injuries, but from the games where he actually played,
he took a fitness coach on holiday. I don't know if anyone mentioned it.
You should have.
So he's sorted with that now.
Obviously, done the trick for him because he's like you say, he does look a lot more like he's ready for the season. And
he looks trimmer as well. He physically looks.
Well, you would do
better.
I heard a little rumour that he took a fitness coach on holiday with Adnan Januzaj.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know though that he paid for that? Him and Januzaj split that. It wasn't the club. Oh no. And if you've got a Shaw 3 shirt, he will buy you a Shaw 23 shirt.
Really?
The man's PR has gone into overdrive.
You're listening to the RedMancunian podcast, sponsored by Luke
Shaw. Oh, brilliant. Right, let's move into midfield. We've touched on Mata there. So we started with Mata, Schneiderlin, and...
Carrick.
And Carrick, yeah. God, still going on about your poetry here. So let's move over to Schneiderlin.
Loved him. Really did, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sam touched on his cover for Blint earlier.
Yeah, he did. He dropped in, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because that was one thing Jamie Gobshite Carragher couldn't get his head round when he was on his Monday Night Football, even more bashing United than usual because Gary Neville wasn't there to temper him. And he was kept going on about like, Blint was moving forward and all the rest of it. But yeah, Schneiderlin was covering, and that was a good
He was
play.
noticing the danger.
Just quickly, as an aside, have you seen that FIFA ad that Carragher and Neville have done for like foot draft? This new thing in FIFA where you've got to pick a team.
FIFA the game?
Yeah.
All right, no.
Yeah, so they're basically like sat on a couch and Gary Neville's got the controller and he's like picking the players and he's like not picking Steven Gerrard. Right, and Carragher's just like, he goes into like whiny dog mode about Gerrard. He's like, how can he not be picking? Neville just turns to him.
That was good.
Neville just turns to him and goes, calm down, I can't understand you. Like, and it's just like how I feel every time I turn on Monday Night Football. It's like he makes no points that
it was funny because you had Roberto Martinez there on Monday, and I'll just talk about this briefly before we move on. And it's sort of every point Carragher was making, Roberto Martinez, without being like arsey or aggressive or whatever, was just shooting him down. So Carragher would make a point, and Roberto Martinez would go, "Yeah, but they kept a clean sheet."
Yeah.
And then he made well, you can't play that every week. Well, you don't. You change your tactics for different games. And it was just like we could see Carragher had nowhere to go.
But like, Carragher,
it was just like
he was obviously like
defeating his idiocy.
He was disturbed by this as well, wasn't he? Because he spent like a whole 30-second monologue at the end of Martinez being there, being like, Everton's the best place for John Stones. It's the best place. That's where he needs to stay. Isn't it? Isn't it right? Like, please like me. Please like me, Roberto.
It was cringeworthy.
Obviously, Gary Neville wasn't there this Monday due to the passing of his father, Neville, who unfortunately had a heart attack over in Australia when he was watching his daughter, Tracy, do the netball. So thoughts are with
She's
the
a
Nevilles.
coach, isn't she?
Is she a coach?
I thought she was England coach.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I thought she was still playing.
Good to see the fans chanting his name as well. So it's nice to see something like that.
A few songs about Neville, wasn't there? So condolences with the Nevilles.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next midfielder, Carrick. Is he going to start every game? Obviously, we saw Schweinsteiger coming on it towards the end of the match. Obviously, he's working on his match fitness. But you mentioned, which a lot of people liked from the first podcast.
Pointing on a radio.
Audio.
Yeah, sorry. Jay mentioned in the first podcast that use Schweinsteiger like your good China. Bring him out.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Carrick, for me, still top level player. Still got a lot to offer. I always feel a lot more confident when he's on the pitch, and he brings that calmness to the play and surety. It was a bit strange because he seems to be getting forward a lot more than usual.
But I think he can do that with Schneiderlin as his partner, because Schneiderlin will sweep in behind him. But the thing about Carrick is that I, as a fan, feel so much more assured because he recycles possession so well, and he'll have people on him, and he'll just find a nice, sort of simple pass that releases somebody else. And I think that's what Van Gaal loves about him. You know, that he's such a classy midfielder. You feel like everything's all right. We've got Carrick in there.
Yeah.
You know, Carrick will keep the wheels in motion. But I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
I mean, a caveat to all of this is that they all looked slightly like it was the first game of the season and they weren't quite fit. But that said, yeah, I think he played well.
No, he did. Like you say, he's sort of his influence on the game. Everyone's always said how underrated he was, and now he's not underrated by United fans. I think he's underrated by fans of other clubs.
Yeah.
But United fans get him and get how important he is to the team. You only have to look at the last 2 seasons of when he's been absent, how we've faltered.
Yeah.
Not just under Van Gaal, but under Moyes as well. He really missed him for a lot of games. So yeah, the trouble obviously when you're talking about how you keep Carrick in the team is Schneiderlin obviously had a great game, and then I know you're going to move on to him, but Schweinsteiger's cameo.
Well, let's move on to him now because he came on for Carrick, and that was the reception for Schweinsteiger at Old Trafford was a bigger noise made by the crowd than the actual own goal going in.
And that was just when he was running up and down the touchline.
Well, he was
before he was even
up,
subbed on.
And then when he
I've
came
not seen
on,
that since Falcao.
yeah. And that ended.
So obviously he's going to be a legend.
But who's going to talk about as soon as he came onto the pitch?
Well, I tell you what, he was responsible for one of my 2 favourite moments of the Spurs game. Like there was one moment where he just like received the ball, looked up, turned and pinged it right over, in for, I think it was Rooney. And that was like the vision and that kind of over the top pass that we've just been missing for, I don't know, at least 18 months. So he came on and he was just assured. He was immediately bossing people around.
Yeah.
He'd receive the ball. He'd be pointing, where to pass the ball. He'd be telling other players where, which other players to pass the ball to. He was just in there as kind of like a midfield general. Got himself a nice yellow card earlier on.
More leadership in that 10 seconds of coming on the pitch than Rooney did all game. We're not going to bash Rooney this season.
No,
but as a captaincy and a leadership within that team, especially for the youngsters looking up to somebody like Schweinsteiger, that's brilliant.
I know what you mean with Rooney. And you can't say we're not going to bash him. If he doesn't play well, we will. We'll have a dig at him.
Damn right.
But I think Rooney as a captain grew last season. I think he does quite a good job. What impresses me now is, like you were saying, Sam, he came on, he's like, he's pointing at people, he's telling them what to do, he's sort of very vocal. And there's almost leaders there through the spine of the team. Because Rooney, I think, is actually a decent captain. I think as a striker, he's got to get back to his fitness. He's got to sort of get back as what we've seen in the past. But as a captain, he does a good job. Smalling, we've already spoke about. He was sort of leading from the back and he was shouting and pointing and giving people words of encouragement. And Schweinsteiger as well. Now, United have lacked any leaders really for the last few seasons. We've been crying out for them. We've been handing out the captaincies to different players. It hasn't worked. Darren Fletcher came and went as a vice captain. Rooney grew into the role after a bit of a shaky start. So if we can have sort of leaders through the spine of that team, it'll make such a difference because we've lacked it for so long. We've lacked it for it was the days of Roy Keane. For having that in defence, in midfield, and up front, having true leadership. Now, if we can have it all the way through, it'd be so beneficial to us.
Yep.
My other favourite moment of the game, I know we've covered Mata already, but Mata pulled the ball out of the air on the right hand side, beat 3 players, and then cross-fielded it perfectly.
Yeah, out to Young.
And that moment of skill, it was only about 5 seconds of play maybe, but it just lifted the whole of Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Like the noise level rose, and we got probably 2 or 3 minutes of like proper stadium buzz and better play out of the players from that one piece of control, skill, and cross alone.
We kept pinging the ball up to Mata as well, and he's like the smallest player on the pitch, and we're whacking it up high to him. But his close control and how he brought that down, was. The vines of that was and gifts.
That's what I mean about how his skill and his ability, even though he's in a position that he's not as useful in, he still can do things that make you think, wow. Do you know what I mean?
Well, another player, hopefully, that we will see some wow factors from is our new signing and number 7, Memphis Depay. This was an interview with him just before the match.
Has the manager told you what to expect here at Manchester United?
Yeah, the pressure is bigger. The people expect trophies and titles. That's normal for a big club. If you see the history and everything, so they expect a lot of things, and yeah, he told me that.
He's a strong manager. Do you like working with strong managers? They bring out the best in you.
Yeah, I think so, because he's also honest, and he expects that you show your quality every day, and that's how you. Yeah. I don't know. He make you hungry, like you want to improve every day on the training ground, and you want to show him the best that what you got. And I think that's good also for young players.
So Memphis Depay, obviously excited for the new part of his life and his life now at Manchester United. His debut against Tottenham, how did he do?
All right, let me get a word in. Okay.
So you mentioned earlier about Mata.
Yeah.
Swapping with him.
Yeah.
Louis van Gaal has said, the number 10 role for Depay might be where he is. Would he be better on the wing? If Pedro does come in, would Pedro start on the wing? Memphis is number 10. Talk to me.
It's too soon to tell. I mean, I thought for that game, it was crying out to put Mata in the middle and move Memphis out onto the wing or do something that got Mata more central. You can't. I'm not going to say that he needs to play down the wing every week and that's where his season is going to be. But I thought he was a solid performance. He looks, he saw glimpses of what he's about. I think he might have been a little bit surprised at the pace of the Premier League. Because even though you're right,
wasn't a fast game, though, was it?
It wasn't, but I think
It's
still
another level of physicality.
Yeah,
as well.
it's another level of physicality. You don't get a lot of time on the ball, and plus, with all due respect to Dutchley, he's probably used to a lot of games where he can more or less do what he wants.
And with that reputation as well, because the other teams in Holland were scared of him. Like, he was the one that they had to go and try and mark out the game or whatever. So he's used to kind of being the star of the show.
Yeah, because it's interesting that we got that free kick and he picked up the ball straight away, didn't he?
Yeah.
And marched over as though like I'm having this one.
But Ashley Young tapped him on the back though, so I thought, Depay's going to have this.
Yeah, and then
Mata took it into the wall, didn't he?
No, then Rooney and Mata were hovering around, and Mata took it. Yeah. So he's probably going to get it. But he's to not being the sort of the superstar of the show, and also the pace of it. But
I think
he did okay.
He celebrated like a bitch as well when we actually scored. He went mental, didn't he?
Good to see.
Some of the good pictures that have come out, which is good.
I don't want to heap the expectation on him too soon, but there's a little hint of that arrogance about him that early Ronaldo had. When Ronaldo wasn't the finished product and he was messing up a lot and he was taking on, like, running down dead alleys instead of passing it.
Yeah, doing a million step overs in the corner
because
flag.
he wanted to be on the ball.
Yeah.
It's that same thing that I see in him yet. So I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying he's going to be the same. But he's got that I want to be the man, and I've got the belief that I'm the best player on this field type approach to things. Which I suppose if you're marching out in front of 76,000 people and you're the new attacking signing of the summer, you would be buoyed.
Basically, what you're saying is if he doesn't win us 3 titles, the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or, he's a complete and utter failure.
Well, if he doesn't do that, then
If he doesn't score 40 odd goals this season, we want our money back.
Yes,
yeah, I think that's a fair.
I'll have forgotten his name anyway if he hadn't do any of that.
But no,
he's only got one. It's easier.
Yeah.
The expectation is there, and obviously he's had the arrogance and the ego to take that number 7 shirt, which is a massive deal for the fans. Everything. I actually thought he'd sell loads of shirts, but Schweinsteiger has been selling 8 to 1 on shirts.
31. He's 31, mate.
Go on, how many shirts has Schweinsteiger sold?
I don't know in total, but he's been selling 8 to
8
1.
more. 8 more
Memphis
than the one
Depay.
that Depay sold.
But can he become one of United's greats?
Possibly.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Well,
I know what you say about the arrogance. And he does look like he's confident. It looks like he deserves to be there, but it is too far. It's too soon to tell. I mean, yeah, we can all get excited. He was top scorer in the Dutch league. He's a young player, and we've seen players like that before. Van Nistelrooy being a prime example, who've absolutely set the world alight. And we've also seen, the Mario Kesmans or whatever who've really struggled. So it's a little bit too quick to say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to be great. I think he'll be a success. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
and also this whole number 7 thing. It's getting a bit much now. We've gone through that many since Ronaldo.
It was too,
It's almost.
It was too much for Valencia. Though,
it was too much for Valencia. Michael Owen, that sort of
4-3.
That sort of killed it, didn't it? I know, all right, the 4-3, but even so,
yeah.
And
you give it a Scouser, and that's it gone. Then, isn't it? Really,
it's
the magic's over after that.
That's it. It's someone he needs, to sort of make that his own. So
squad numbers should be 1 to 11 for your best players. That's what we should get back to. But
agreed.
Fair enough.
The good old days when you could name, Schmeichel, Parker, Pallister, Bruce Sharpenings, Hughes, McClarkin, Cantona, Robson, Kanchelskis and Giggs. Like that, where you could just go through the first 1 to 14.
Exactly.
Come on, you read. Come on.
What a tune.
Those were the days.
Right, moving on to the other wing, we had Ashley Young. How did he play?
First half, very good.
Yeah, he's all right as well. He's definitely a threat. Kyle Walker had his handful with him.
But he faded.
Yeah.
And I was a bit annoyed because even though I did say very good in the first half, for me, Kyle Walker is just your archetypical, typical, big, strong, dozy defender. He's quick and he's strong. I don't think he's particularly good at defending. I don't think he's particularly clever. And I think if you run at him and try and, get past him, you can do. But Young sort of got into the thing of just trying to knock the ball past him and run round him.
Yeah.
And looking for the foul, and it wasn't happening.
Yeah, he was looking a bit too much when John Moss got a bit wise to him.
Yeah,
after
and he
the
didn't have
first
a
10
plan.
minutes.
And I just think you just run at him, just try and take him on, don't keep doing the same sort of trick that isn't working. And he didn't, so that was a little bit disappointing, but I thought he did well in the first half. Second half, I just didn't really see much from him.
And then, anything to say on Young there, Sam?
just not enough end product again. There was plenty of build up. He gives us a really nice width. He's always running up and down, giving a good option on that wing. But if you're never going to put a decent cross into a dangerous position, what's the point of all the build up play?
But it's hard to look for a target man when we've only got Rooney in the box.
Yeah, no,
with height and stuff. Like we mentioned after the game, like Lewandowski or someone like that in the box for United would be, that type of striker with those crosses coming in.
We'd had a few by that point, so it was just like, let's pick arguably the world's best striker. Yeah, he probably do all right in our team. Yeah.
And then moving on to Wayne Rooney, one of those games. We've mentioned that he took an age before the own goal went in, where he could have just hit it first time.
I think he does hit it first time in November.
Yeah,
I'm still dubious that Rooney's able to get us 25, 30 goals. I'm not seeing that kind of.
I think he will with penalties and stuff like that this season. I think if he's playing up top on his own, I think he can do the 20, 25 goals. I mean, but if Schweinsteiger takes all the players to Oktoberfest and he sees some of the old women that are out in Germany, he's not going to get 20, 25 goals.
No, he won't be coming back from that.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he would, and I still think he'll get 20 odd goals this season.
Yeah,
but he does need to sort of be a bit wary that he's not completely undroppable. I think we haven't got a load of strikers. We're a bit short, but Depay can play up front, and I think Van Gaal will realise that if we're going to have that one striker, he has to be performing. And if
you look at, I know it's obviously pre-season, it's for friendly, but Januzaj played well against Barcelona. He got his goal.
Yeah.
There are other options up there, and there are options that provide something different to Rooney. Like, Rooney's a physical kind of battering ram.
Yeah, Van Gaal loves him as well.
Whereas if you've got Wilson or Januzaj, they're kind of quick.
Head down, yeah.
Head down, knock it past the defender and try and, or long balls over the top from midfield type. I'll run onto them. Whereas I don't think Rooney's going to do that anymore.
You mentioned that as well. Javier Hernandez. Could he have got 10, 15 minutes on Saturday?
Does he want to be back now? Has he decided that Real Madrid isn't the best team in the world?
It's
ever?
really weird.
He's a whiny little bitch, really.
I don't know. I just find it odd that no one's come in for him. I think he's a player that's going to get you goals, and everyone's going on like,
not
he
even
went
your
to
likes
Madrid,
of Sunderland or stuff like that.
Yeah, and he went to Madrid and didn't work out. It wasn't a complete disaster. He still scored a few goals, and he was basically just a sub every game, like fourth choice striker or whatever. But his record at United is, if you look at his goal scoring record, even under Moyes, he still got goals. So, like you say, a Sunderland or, when you look at some of the players that are going for big, big-ish money or decent money, and you've got an experienced striker who scored lots of goals at the top level, who's, not quite at his peak yet, I'm surprised that someone even a little bit better than Sunderland, someone like, I don't know, a Villa or someone.
Well, he was with the squad on Saturday against Spurs. Januzaj wasn't in the squad. So, he must be performing in training, or that option was there for Van Gaal if Rooney was coming off or Rooney got injured or something.
If we were chasing a game, though, you wouldn't mind seeing Hernandez come on. I wouldn't.
No, yeah.
1-0 down and, 20 minutes ago he came on. I don't think anyone would be moaning about it because you do fancy him to get a goal.
Yeah. Well, here's an interview with Wayne Rooney and Mike Smalling after the match.
Wayne, very important to lay down a marker on day one at home, and you've done that.
Yeah, most important thing today was the victory. Could have played better at times, but after what happened last season, getting off to a bad start at home, we had a bad run of results after that, so today was all about 3 points, and we've gone out there and done that, so that's all we can ask for today.
Chris, we were waiting to see who'd get the nod in central defence alongside Blins, and you had a fantastic game, some very important interceptions today.
Yeah, it was good to get that clean sheet. I think, as Wazza said, at times we didn't play well. I think after we got the goal, we had our best spell, but we dug in the end, and it was an important 3 points.
Wayne, how does this new faces in the side, still time to gel, still waiting to settle? Are you nearly there?
We're still working, of course. This pre-season's been relatively short compared to previous ones, and but we've worked hard, and all that work went into getting the 3 points today, so we've done that. A couple of days now to go back over the game, see what we've done good, what we've done bad, and then we'll start preparing for Villa. So it was a big victory for us today.
And that builds the confidence throughout the squad, doesn't it, Chris? New signings, lots of new faces running around.
Yeah, I think it was important that we all got off to a good start and we showed the fans that we're up for it. And it's the first one of many.
Wayne, would you like to present Chris with the Man of the Match award? Glenn and Michael chose that for you. Well done. Thanks, lads.
Well, Rooney sounded tired after that match, didn't he? He sounded a little bit tired.
He's probably still asleep now, recovering.
You know, since you said we're not going to bash Rooney, that's all we've done.
I meant over the season. Statistically, we've been all right.
It's all right. It's all right to say he's tired. That's not bashing.
All right, okay, yeah.
But have you seen his hair? His hair looks awful. So, before we hear from Louis van Gaal, anything further to say on the 1-0 victory over Spurs?
If we missed anyone out, I think that covered everyone.
Oh, yeah, we went from the back to the front.
The atmosphere
was
all right.
Yeah, it was okay.
Shed load of Adidas kits knocking about outside Old Trafford.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, we've been going to United for years and years now and seen many kit launches, but none to the extent where fans are queuing outside the megastore and constantly buying the new kit. It was just a sea of Adidas, wasn't it, outside on the forecourt at Old Trafford on Saturday.
It's weird though, because I was at the Trafford Centre the day before, and it was like that in there.
Was it?
Yeah, there was it was noticeable just how many United kits there were.
Why can't we just say to Real Madrid then we'll give you like 200 million quid for Bale? If we've just made money like that off this shirt deal or whatever, just why not do it?
We should do.
Get him in.
Ed, I know you listen.
Come on, Ed.
I know this is your usual.
We know you
routine.
can do anything you want as well. So just make it happen.
Now your plane's landed from Australia.
Can't you just follow Bale on Twitter?
No.
That will make it happen.
Twitter. I've had enough of it.
Come on.
I don't like
you
it
can
anymore.
save us 200 million quid. Just follow him and then he'll come.
Well, I might have to follow Pedro later, but we'll get onto that.
All right, okay.
Well, you know the biggest sort of new listeners since last week is like Mumsnet they've really latched onto it after the baby chat from YouTube last week.
Yeah.
You know, so if you got any tips, for
really latches on the nipple, Joe.
It does, doesn't it? It really hurts.
Right, let's hear from Manchester United boss Louis van Gaal after the 1-0 victory over Spurs, and he also talks about David De Gea.
3 points on the opening day, Louis. Very important. Assess the performance for us.
Yeah, it was a very difficult game because you have seen two teams that want to press. So every player at the ball had a very small time to play and a lot of ball losses. We didn't keep the ball too much, but in our transitions we have created a few chances and out of one we scored, or maybe it was also an own goal.
And what did you think of the level of performance of the new signings today?
Yeah, it's always difficult because that is the first time that they play in Old Trafford and the people are very supporting. And I said in advance, for example, against or to Memphis, that he doesn't have to play with too much eager and too much passion. And I said that's also counts for the whole team. But yeah, it's always the first time that you play Old Trafford is always difficult. But I like the performance, especially from Darmian, because he played a good match. Also in ball possession and also when the opponent has the ball. And Sergio Romero kept the 0. I think he did it wonderful with saving the ball, but not in building up situations. And that is also logical because he didn't play with the boys. So he is only 1 week with us. So that's also a process. You have to wait for that.
A quick word on Sergio Romero in goal. And of course, when do you want this De Gea situation resolved?
Yeah, I cannot say that because I'm not the most important part. The most important part is the player and, of course, the club who wants to buy him. And he is our best player for 2 years already, or 3 years. chosen by the fans, so we cannot let him go so easily. And we have to pay a lot of money for all the players we want, and we want to sell at the same level. And when we have to sell, we want to keep him, of course, because he is already for 2 years the best player.
So do you want this resolved before the Champions League game that we've got on BT Sport? And are Real Madrid bidding proper money? Is that the problem at the moment? Have they come under your valuation?
I don't want to interfere in that, because it's not the place, and I think it's not of your business neither.
Fair point. Are you going to have a happy birthday party tonight?
I shall have, in my favourite restaurant.
I'll buy you a drink then.
Okay, thank you.
I think it is none of your business.
Fair
point. Best part of that interview.
I think that's the response you'd always give Van Gaal, whatever he says to you if you're interviewing him. Fair point, yeah. I'm not arguing with you.
Brilliant. You can't argue with him, can you?
No, not at all.
But he's great with the press and great with the fans. So, David De Gea.
De Gea.
De Gea.
Yeah.
Where are we going to go from this? Is there anything more to say? He's either going to go or he's going to stay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, those are the two options.
But like you said, is it going to be down to money? Is it going to be down if Dave wants to...
He wants to go, doesn't he? Let's face facts.
Yeah.
If he didn't want to go, he'd have signed a new contract.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Even if it was just a small extension. Yeah. He obviously wants to leave. And United obviously don't want to sell him. It's just a case of who wants what more. Really.
As Van Gaal said, he's been the best keeper for the past 2 years in the Premier League. You don't want to sell your best players, or if you do, you want them for a good price.
I see Peter Schmeichel, the
cartwheeling
gobshite, was weighing in with it, and he was saying, it shouldn't have been allowed to get to this point, which is probably, as typically obvious statement as you're going to get. It shouldn't, but it has.
Yeah.
But now, the thing is, as we've already said over and over, is do we want him for the rest of the season and take the loss, or do we think it's worth getting rid of him? He's upsetting other players or whatever, and getting the 20 million. I've said I'd keep him, whether will or not remains to be seen.
The thing is, though, like we've been talking about this new contract for a very long time. It's not like the club's only just realised that he's only got a year left and offering a contract. This contract's been on the table for at least a year, if not more. So it's not. I don't think the club have not done what they should have been doing.
Yeah.
When you're at that age, it's a confluence of events where he's become a superstar as his contracts got into that area where they were going to renegotiate, and so Real Madrid have piped up in his ear a little bit. And what are you going to do? I mean, his girlfriend doesn't help things because she hates Manchester and lives in Madrid. If, as you say, if he'd wanted to stay, he would have signed already. Yeah. It's all right that he doesn't want to stay. He's from Madrid. Yeah. So it's not the end of the world, but it would be better if it was resolved sooner rather than later, really. Probably for all concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone at Manchester United and everyone at Madrid as well, to be honest. So that's one player who might be going out, but a player that might be coming in is Pedro from Barcelona. Barcelona revealed this evening, we recorded this on a Tuesday night, that Pedro is asked to leave and the deal to Manchester United should be concluded over the next few days. What do we think about Pedro coming into the club?
Well. If he listens to Hristo Stoichkov, Bulgarian legend, he won't be coming to the club.
Why? What's he said?
He's got this weird vendetta against Van Gaal. It's amazing. There was an article in, I think it was March last year, where he called Van Gaal scum.
Right.
Didn't they work together 20 years ago or something?
Yeah, at Barcelona.
Holding a grudge.
And then, he's come out today and said that Van Gaal is mediocre and he's someone that destroys clubs.
Destroys clubs?
That's big claims, isn't it? I mean, for a man that I'm sure won multiple La Liga titles with Barcelona in that time.
What's he saying? Is he advising Pedro not to fly over and join Manchester United? Is that his point?
Yes, I think that is the long and the short of it. And who knows? You know, who knows the sway of
But, you know,
Stoichkov in Barcelona?
Exactly. I don't think Pedro listens to that.
No,
I know Pedro well, and I know he doesn't
Yeah.
take any notice of Stoichkov
So what
and
we're
what he
thinking about
babbles
Pedro
on
coming
about.
in. So Pedro is going to get probably the shirt number 9. Who knows? But he gets number 9. Where does he fit in at Manchester United?
He's just another option for
pretty much anywhere across the front three,
like
isn't it?
Depay, Is he not? He's not a striker, is he? As such, he's more of off the striker.
Yeah, off the striker or out to the left.
Yeah.
What somebody mentioned the other day. I don't watch a lot of Barcelona, but somebody was mentioning that he's not selfish on the ball as well. He creates a lot of assists for, say, Messi, Neymar, stuff like that when they're rotating.
Well, it all went very well, didn't it? The last player we got from Spain that created a lot of assists, who's now plying his trade in Paris.
Yes. So maybe we should reserve judgment about how effective he'll be.
But no, it is a good signing. It is a good signing for us, especially we could still register him for the Champions League as well if we do get it sorted this week. Today, the squad had come out for Bruges, who we're playing next Tuesday night. But we could still get him registered to play with us throughout the Champions League if we go any further.
He's a top class player, and you're never going to grumble when a player like that comes to your club. I know we've all pretty established that we're not that bothered about fees and how much money the club saves or spends, but 20-odd million for a player who's won the lot. And in Barcelona, if you're not a first team player at Barcelona in their forward line opposed to their defensive line, that doesn't mean you're not at the very highest level.
Yeah.
Because you know the three players you just mentioned, Messi, Neymar, and Suarez, would walk in at any team on the planet without a doubt. Any of those three would. So there's nothing wrong with sort of being on the fringe of that squad, and he's obviously played his part in their success as well. It's not like he's been, playing 1 or 2 games a season. I think he's played 20-odd games a season for the last few years. So, exciting player that obviously knows the Champions League, has won it, played at the highest level, and you can't really grumble at it, unlike the aforementioned Parisian-based Argentinian.
Yeah.
He isn't going to cost
Baller.
an absolute fortune.
Yeah, weekly wages as well. Another thing, Pedro is one of Juan Mata's best mates as well, so that's another Spanish player to put in there. Spanish
is this
WhatsApp group.
David De Gea getting edged out even further?
Hey, see you, Dave.
See you, son.
So
Off you go to Madrid. We've got
Herrera, Mata, and Pedro.
Oh.
Fuck you, Dave.
Hey.
Something in there.
Like we said, their WhatsApp group's going to be great. Sending each other.
David has left the group.
Pedro likes us. Thumbs up. Emoji.
Ed Woodward re-invites Dave. Dave declines.
So, before we go on to Aston Villa and preview the Villa game, anything more on transfers? We're unsure whether we're going to get a defender in. Otamendi has been mentioned all the time. Gaitan constantly mentioned. Harry Kane, United are interested in Harry Kane. We've done the £40 million bid. Tottenham keep reaffirming, hands off. He's just changed his squad number from 18 to 10. He's not going to leave Tottenham, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Probably not this season.
I think it's too late in the day for them as well to get someone in to replace him.
But he didn't shine much, did he, against us? Obviously, he was man-marking Blind. But even in the...
He kept Blind quiet.
He did a good job.
Blind didn't have one shot. Give the lad credit.
Even the pre-season tour that Tottenham had, because they played the Monday and Wednesday.
Tour?
He was...
Hey.
He was dropped. He was dropped and rested for the Wednesday for the United game. But I can't see him coming in this summer.
I think that's a move at this stage in the summer for the Tottenham point of view, for Levy or Pochettino, that will just get the fans completely just make them livid.
It will boil.
Yeah, it will boil a lot of piss. And I think fair enough if it had been the beginning of the summer, you say, listen, he wants to go, they've offered us money, we'll get in a replacement. To do it now, I think would be a bit of a disaster for them. And I don't think we're as keen on him as we need to be to get him. I think to get him, you need to. We know what Levy's like. You need to sort of he's his star player. You need to really hit him with a massive offer. And I know 40 million is a big offer, but I don't think that's enough. And I don't even know how much we've pursued that and how sort of much we've gone for it.
That was another thing we mentioned. Javier Hernandez, could he be used as bait like we almost did in the Gareth Bale deal before he went to Real Madrid?
Well, I think the thing is, firstly, Sterling's ruined the market for young English strikers, wingers. Right, so now Levy's going to be looking at that going, right, well, it's minimum 49 million. So because Harry Kane scored more goals than Sterling did, it's if you're going off results. But the other thing is, Kane's had one good season.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get him now for probably less than 50, 60, maybe more. I mean, football's just going stupid numbers these days.
But it's not our money, Sam, like you said.
I know it's not. But in one more season's time, say if he scores another 30 goals, that'll put maybe another 15 million on his price, whatever. And it's probably worth seeing whether he actually manages to carry last season's form into this one before you start spending that kind of money. Because the difference between, 55 and 70 is neither here nor there. Again, it's another noodle deal somewhere.
I know, because we were sort of talking about this last season, don't you remember? I think I was talking and you were nodding off.
All right.
But we were saying that Kane, for one season, it was a big risk.
Yeah.
And it would be worth exactly what Sam was saying, to see, is he that as good as it looks? Because you do get some players, don't you? They have a mad purple patch. They have a season where they score a load of goals and then they phase off. You've had like Kevin Davis once scored a load of goals, or James Beattie plays like that, and it's not really, they've not really been able to keep up that level. So I think for the money you're going to say, like you say, the difference is it is worth seeing whether he is the real deal or it was just one of those seasons. So I don't think it's worth going all out for him now. And also I don't think if we went all out for him now, how's that going to work? If you're going to play Rooney up front, if you've got Pedro obviously coming in, you've got Depay, you've got Mata. We're saying all these players should play.
Yeah. We've got lots of options up top then.
And then, that's before you even start mentioning.
Well, first of all, let's get Pedro in and get that deal done and concluded, because it seems to be going on now. Anything more on transfers before we go to Villa?
I think Pedro will be the last signing we make this summer. To be honest with you.
I don't understand why. I've no idea how the ins and outs of RS to work, but everyone in the world and his mother seems to know the release clause. Just offer that. Yeah. Surely all that's got to do is send a fax saying, we'll give you 20
You say that though, but there wasn't a time when David Moyes was in charge and had just got his feet under the table, and they managed to make a complete hash of both Ander Herrera and the Marouane Fellaini deal.
Yeah.
So but no, it does seem that everyone knows that.
Right, so 3 points on the league. We were at the top of the league until Leicester decided to run rampant.
This Sunderland.
Yeah. But moving on to our second game, Aston Villa away at Villa Park on a Friday night, Jay. Why has it been moved to a Friday?
Is this because of them Neanderthal twats?
Yes.
Yes, that we won't publicise anymore.
But yeah, the police can't control two events going on within or around the city, so it's been moved to a Friday night, which in the 16-17 season, we will be playing on Friday nights because BT Sport have got the rights to do so.
It annoys me that the other thing is an event. It shouldn't. Yeah. It should just be like shut down.
And if it's any like the ones in Manchester, there's about 5 people.
Dwindled, they go to Walkabout, don't they? Because that's a good old British pub, a good old English pub. That's how stupid they are. Singing "England Till I Die" outside a Walkabout with the Union Jack. Absolute mongs.
So this is, if you don't know, it's the English Defence League, isn't it?
So like you say, the numbers have dwindled, but the police have to have a big presence. The anti-fascism group go there as well. You can understand why, because obviously they want to sort of show that whatever city they're visiting, that they're not welcome. Yeah. And it is just a storm in a teacup. Hopefully, these things will become a thing of the past.
Yeah, it should do. But back to United. United going, confidence is going to be slightly high after that against Tottenham.
I think it was a functional performance, wasn't it? So if anything, you come out of that and you think, well, yeah, we know we didn't play the best, but we beat a team that's going to be thereabouts. Got 3 points on the board. It was all right performance. Hot day in Manchester. Everyone had a good time. A Friday night in Villa is going to be.
It's going to be good though.
Is this where you revert to your unintelligible accent that just metamorphosis into the most brummy accent I've ever heard?
Go straight back into it. As soon as I'm down Broad Street and I'm in one of the pubs, I go straight back into it. People will be looking for tickets, but I'm staying at the Travelodge near New Street.
I remember him doing that when we went to Stoke with him, and he started talking like that. Hey, you're from Hyde. Get a grip.
But yeah, obviously with the email going around to the press on Tuesday about De Gea staying, De Gea could possibly come back in and start against Villa. But
I can't
keeping
see
that back foot. You can't see it.
I can't see it after Van Gaal's post match press comments where he basically said, "Look, until this gets sorted out, I'm not sure where his head's going to be at." So I think
Fair enough.
I think it's going to be Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Romero as well sort of
Stay
shown
with
that
the
he
same
can play.
squad, or blint out Rojo in, or
Don't know, is Rojo match ready? Because he had
Well,
quite a bit
it's
of
got
timber
two-
put on, hasn't he, over the summer? And
yeah, I
just
think that
wondered whether
picture was slightly deceiving because
Oh,
other
was it?
ones he looked all right, but it did look like he'd just been on all inclusive to Mallorca and just nailed the fat off all of everything that's available.
Was it nailed the buffet, nailed the fat?
Yeah. He was just eating the
Excuse
skins
me, there's
off
not
the
enough
chicken.
fat on
Yeah,
my plate.
can I have
If
some
you
fat,
could,
please?
You just bring some intravenous fat, please.
So pretty much same squad. Debut for the white away kit, which was launched this week. Looks very nice.
It's better than the home one,
It's released in the shops on Friday as well, and then the third kit comes out on the 27th,
which is better again.
which is better apart from the shorts.
Yeah, not a big fan of the shorts.
United had a 3,026 allocation, again upper and lower for that, so it should be a good away for Friday night, and everyone can go out on the piss after the game and then go back to Manchester on Saturday,
Happy days.
which is
It's
good.
novel, isn't it? I think it's going to be interesting. Having like we're sort of in this stage now where we're used to football, at least for us, kind of dominating Saturday, Sunday, Monday night. To expand it to Friday as well.
Yeah, well, Friday and then Tuesday. We got Bruges on Tuesday, so it's a busy week.
Just Friday nights are. It's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? It'll be interesting when it's like regular Friday nights.
Yeah.
So say like your little ones growing up now won't know anything, won't think Friday night football's odd.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And like our parents probably didn't think.
Yeah, anything
like,
other than Saturday 3
yeah,
o'clock, TV come into play, and
eventually I'll just be like, there is a game every night
Every
of,
single night.
of the week.
It's getting that way, isn't
It will literally
with the
just be
Europa
like,
and the Champions League.
yeah.
That is it.
Well,
Is
you're
it
right.
is
You'll
the
have
full-
Monday night football. You'll have Tuesday, Wednesday's Champions League, Thursday's Europa, Friday back on BT Sport,
exactly.
Saturday,
Into
Sunday,
Saturday,
every
Sunday.
single night. Wow,
There-
this sounds awesome.
There will be a
great.
season there will be a season coming when
There will be a
when,
time.
like, from August
Yeah.
to like May, you could watch a football game every single day.
We'll be telling our kids how bad it was.
Won't be telling
when we only had
anything
foot-
because we'll be divorced and single, living in a flat somewhere,
because we're going to
getting
all these
access to them
matches.
once a month.
Well, it's all right if you're both divorced. Maybe you can timeshare this flat.
by Old Trafford, so we don't have to go as far.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, then we've got the weekend to recover, and then on Tuesday night we got Club Brugge at Old Trafford, which is a sellout, which is good. So
Because we had a choice in that.
yeah,
no.
well done. This is clapping the attendance at Old Trafford really boils my piss.
Well, I don't understand why people do that. Why clap for turning up?
So
Just to show
Alan
this is what
Keegan on the
we're not
mic.
about trophies anymore.
We're about having the highest
Winning
attendance.
titles, anyone can do that. Let them knobheads do that. We're about the highest attendance. That's what
Right.
it matters.
Guinness
Let's see
Book of-
City get 75,000 this season.
Let's see City get 75. Right, Club Brugge, they've got a danger man, lads.
Have you done some research?
I've been on this site that's come out recently
Is it
called
Daniel
Google.
Amokachi? He's
No.
the last player I can remember.
Best
It's
kept
a-
secret of the web, Google.
It's a danger man from last season, according to Google.
What's his name?
Lior Refalovov.
What? What's his name?
Lior Refalovov from Israel.
Said like a Belgian native.
Said like a professional commentator.
It said like I've just had a stroke, actually. But he scored 10 goals in 30, so he's a danger man.
Well, I think we'll stick Chris Smalling on him. That's job done. And then, yeah.
Well, if we can play the same trick on him and convince him to man mark Daily
Yeah,
Blind,
if he
then we'll be
might
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Any squad rotation for the Champions League music, awesome. Any squad rotation there?
The most important thing about
Obviously, we need to
Any squad
qualify.
rotation, any squad rotation, final calling, any squad rotation.
Going twice.
Seems to have become an auction.
the thing that pales into insignificance compared with the game is the Champions League font on the back of the shirts.
Yes,
Nice.
because we've heard about this, haven't we? Have we seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually you can buy phone covers for iPhone and Samsung with the Champions League font at the RedMancunian shop, which is at
Can you?
redmancunian.com.
Can
You can also get the Cantona green and gold. Also, 1992 designs. God, I could go on.
I hear they've got placemats as well for your table coming shortly.
No, they don't. They've got coasters for your tea.
Right,
Surely
with
this
mugs.
must be too expensive for most of us to buy, though.
You'd think so, Jay, but the phone covers are just $7.95 delivered.
That is unbelievable value.
That must be a mistake.
At that price, I'm going to buy 2.
Free delivery, boys.
Wow.
Well, I haven't even got a phone, but I'm buying one. At that price, I'd be mad not to.
So Champions League font is going to be on the back of the home shirt. God, yeah.
Amazingly, you heard it here first.
And then the week after, we're away to Club Brugge in the second leg. If you're applying for tickets and you've got credits from the lackluster David Moyes season, don't forget to put in your away application before Friday at 8 a.m. Tickets cost £22, and you have to collect them out there with your passport, as always. That concludes episode 2 of the RedMancunian podcast.
Are we not doing predictions? Because I did so well at the last one.
Okay. Let's finish off as
predictions
we always
for
should. Sorry, I didn't do any
Villa.
questions this week. I forgot to put them down. So sorry.
No. I think people have probably had enough of us now. Anyway, about
Yeah,
taking
I know.
questions. Jesus, well,
Lads,
it's been about 2 hours.
1 hour, 17 minutes. This is the longest pod ever.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
still free.
And it is, yeah. Yeah. Right.
Sponsored by Campo Retro.
Yeah.
Predictions. Okay, let's start with Aston Villa. It's a Friday night. 1-0 United.
Plays heavily on the result, obviously.
We've gone 1-0 United. Smalling header.
I don't know. I like to say a win, but I've got a sneaky feeling we might draw.
Okay, go on.
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah.
So 1-0, 2-2. Sam?
2-1 United.
2-1 United.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you'd like to tweet RedMancunian your predictions on first goal scorer, do so. We won't look.
Do what you want.
Okay, we'll be back next week.
Bruges? You don't want predictions for Bruges?
Predictions for Bruges.
Well, if
Get off me
What's
notes.
his name?
if Leo Rafaelov is on form, he's got to have a goal in him. So I reckon 2-1 United.
Okay, 2-1. I'm going to go 3-1. Shaw to score first.
3-1 United?
Yeah.
Right, I will go 1-0.
1-0.
1-0 United.
Keep it tense for when we go out there. Anything to say before we go?
No, not really. It's just, it's good to have Sam back in the studio with us. It's been a little while.
Yes.
And that's the reason why this has gone on for so long.
Yeah, I probably won't get invited back for another 6 months now.
No, you will.
You remembered more players than us. We'll be down at Aston Villa away. We're going to be doing some recording down there, depending on how intoxicated we are.
So in other words, you're going to be badgering people for Jaeger bombs.
We'll see you next week.